Hi and welcome to my channel, Kirsten Brun is my name, and my channel's name is Strikketid hos Kirsten Brun, loosely translated to Knitting Time with Kirsten Brun. This is my first podcast in English, and I have to say I'm a bit nervous, so if I get kind of giddy and making jokes, well, that's me, but that's also why. I think maybe a bit more when I'm nervous. I just tend to laugh more. So we'll have to endure that together. Anyway, first of all, thank you very much to Pia for hosting this knitathon in the spring. I'm sitting here, it's completely dark, completely windy and raining outside. It's Friday morning here, but the weather hasn't really. We did have a few days of very nice spring weather, but these last few days, anyway, just to say that if you hear the wind or the rain coming in, I have a window right here. This is not natural light, a bit of natural light, but mostly I've tried to compensate with a lot of lamps around me. And let's see how it goes. Anyway, it's Saturday night, live, no, but Saturday night, 22, I don't know if you, 10 o'clock in Denmark. I don't know what time it is where you are. I am here on the chat with you tonight, and hopefully everything doesn't F up. I'll be there. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. I'll just calm down. Have a sip of water. Might help. So, my name is Kirsten Brun. I have been podcasting for 6 years, and the nervousness is absolutely due to the fact that I have to speak in English. It's just weird. But I'll do it anyway. I hope this is not my first podcast in English. Actually, I do hope this is the first of many. So I hope more of you will find my little channel after this knitathon. Yes, I am 46 years old. I live here, I put in a map here, in the western part of Shetland, right in the middle, out west, where it does get very windy very often. But I live here with my husband and my 2 children, a girl who's 13 and a boy who's 9, and a dog who's sleeping right here. Maybe you'll hear him during the podcast. Maybe he'll just sleep without snoring. He doesn't usually, but anyway, we'll live with that. I don't know if I said I'm 46 years old for just a month more. Lovely age. For the ladies, maybe especially. Anyway, I'll take it in full stride. No worries there. I have my own little business that I've built these last 6 years. It's a whole long story. I won't go into that today. It will take too long. I'll try to keep this video for about 45-50 minutes, so you'll have a bathroom break before Johan goes on in the next time slot. And I do talk a lot when I do my podcasts, and they tend to grow quite long. I'm trying a new format and it works a little bit better, but yeah, I don't know. I will do what I can. I'll try to squeeze in as much scrappy knitting as I can for you today. But that's why I think I won't go into the long story of how I made my business, but it is mine and I love it, and it's very small. I have a website, I sell yarn. I am very focused on doing things responsibly, being responsible in my yarn life as well as my life altogether, but it made me realize when I started selling things that I had to have that responsibility also added portion of it, you might say, because I'm selling it to others. So it's I felt it very much when I started my company, that I had to be very aware of what I wanted to inflict upon the world and the environment and all that. So my focus is on GOTS certified yarns and recycling and pre-owned things, and I also do workshops here on YouTube showing how you can actually use your own scraps. The plan is to hopefully also make those in English in the near future. Let's see how it goes. First, I've been doing them for a little over a year now, and they're fine. I have wonderful members on the channel, and I just love making those workshop videos where I show how you can use your own scraps. I like to focus on using what's already here, so it doesn't have to be fabricated, or we have to use a lot of resources to make the things that makes us happy. And we are happy when we're knitting, right? And we do use a lot of yarn, or I do anyway, and now even more since making it my professional job. Professional life also. And yeah, I've been knitting for 30 years. I've been doing it a lot, and I've been doing a lot of scrap knitting. I think that's about it for the introduction for now. If you have any questions, please just bring them on. I will answer as best as I can. Anyway, this episode is called Scrappy Knitting, and what you can do with just 10 grams. It became a bit of an obsession. It was the first thing I started doing, and I will just tell you a little bit about the story behind that journey that it actually sent me on, and making it possible for me to start my business. Yeah, the thing was, I was first of all making patterns, so I was using a lot of yarn and making new patterns, new yarns, and the scrap pile just, it built up, and I was looking at it and thinking, well, other knitters have this problem too, right? And it was just bothering me that I wasn't using it for anything. And when I looked at it, it just took all my energy out of me. I looked at it and I was just, it was just messy and not in any orderly way, making me think, oh, this inspires me. And I know some get inspired by all those piles of yarn. I did not. It was way too messy, and maybe also because that's where I was in my head at the time. But anyway, I looked at it and I thought, okay, so how can I make it inspire me? How can I make it look like something I really want to knit with? And I thought, well, what inspires me and what makes me want to knit? And I immediately thought about hand-dyed yarns. This is one of my favorite Danish hand-dyed ladybug yarn. She does a lot on non-superwash basis, which is of course also something I'm very concerned about, and not using plastics in any way in my yarns because it makes microplast, and yeah, it's a whole thing. I won't go into that today, maybe in another episode. Anyway, all you Danish viewers who are used to following me, you know exactly where I'm at with all that. But the thing was, when I see this beautiful hand-dyed skein of yarn, I immediately want to knit with it. I want to rip the band, what's it called? Anyway, I just want to knit with it. Make it a cake, start knitting. And I thought to myself, well, how can I maybe get my scraps to look like hand-dyed yarn? And first of all, I laid it out on the table, color sorting it sort of, and I thought, okay, so I need 100 grams, because then I have a feeling of how much do I have and for how long, for how well, long in centimeters anyway. How much can I knit with it? To have sort of a feeling with what I have to work with. So I thought 100 grams, okay. And I looked at my scraps and I thought, well, I can definitely come up with 10 different colors in 10 grams each. So then I'll have 100 grams. And I did that. And I wound them up. I weighed them 10 grams, 10 grams, 10 grams, 10 times. And then I made a skein. This is not the skein. This is another skein. But this is how it looked. I called them mixed knots, and I actually started selling them on my web shop. One of the first things I sold were actually scrap yarn, before I could scrape enough money together to buy new yarns. Yeah. So I call these mixed knots, and it's 10 times 10 grams together in a skein. And what it did to me when I did this was exactly the same as when I looked at this. I immediately wanted to knit something. I have another one lying here. I don't have as much. I don't have that many lying now in my little workshop out in the garage, but because I don't sell them anymore. It takes very long time to make them, and as it is scraps, I can't charge that much for it. But they are a part of my history and my history into my business, and I do still use it. Not these, but the 10 gram idea I use very much on my workshop and in my knitting life, and that's what I wanted to show you today. So with these, I just felt immediately inspired, and I know what I'm gonna do. And that's actually what I did. The thing hanging there, I had already made this pattern, designed this pattern, Vesterhavstrøjen. I made that a year before, I think, and I just knew I had to make these. I had two skeins. I had one almost similar to this, from brown to orange and yellow, and I had one that was gray, brown, blue. And as you can see, those are the colors in there. And the thing I did was I added a base color, a main color, to make the scraps more calm, and furthermore to control the gauge, because I was a bit worried when I made the first skeins of mixed knots. I wasn't too concerned with the weight of the yarn, if it was sport weight, DK weight, lace weight. I focused on colors. Later on I made different skeins with different gauges and weights. But these first ones were actually quite different. It goes from DK weight to fingering weight, I'd say, in this one, in these two. And I thought, well, I'm gonna try picking out a main color or base yarn that can control the gauge, so I won't have to worry about that. And I did, and that's also, I thought, calming this whole thing down. I call a lot of scrap knitting, I call it, in Danish it's tivoli strik. In English you'd say carnival, like going to the carnival knitting. And carnival is a lot of fun, it's very loud, it's a lot of noise, it's colors everywhere, and I like it. You laugh a lot, you have fun, but maybe for a few hours, and then I really have to go home and get some rest. And the thing was, with me and the scrappy knitting, I found out the carnival knitting is super fun. I don't wear it a lot. And if I don't wear it a lot, I think, what's the point in knitting it? So one of my main goals was also to make some knits and some sweaters that I actually wanted to use. And that's why I had this whole idea about the main color, the base, the thing to calm all these colors a little bit down and also control them. So I do often use the base color, main color, to kind of frame your scraps. And also here I call this method 1+1 because I have one round of the base color and one round of the scraps and just continue. And in this one I took those two skeins I had because they were brown in both of them, and I thought that can tie them together. And the thing I did was I had the brown here, so the brown in the blue skein, it transformed itself from the brown to the gray to the blue. And in the orange skeins I divided those 10 grams into 2 times 5 grams, and I do like making the sleeves alike. It also creates this calm, collected, cool, calm and collected. And it went from the brown to the orange to the yellow. So you'd have this sort of, yeah, it follows along nicely. And the thing I did was I had some of the yarn here. I made the main color. I decided to take a yarn with a weight that was mostly similar to the scraps, and some of the scraps I knew they would be a bit different. And when I met, it wasn't really a problem with the ones that were a bit thicker, but the thinner yarns, the lace, or not the lace weight, the fingering weight yarns, I put a little bit of lace yarn and held 2 strands together. And the lace yarn, I made it the same color as my main color, and that's sort of a thing I also do to make it more natural looking, but fits better. So that's Vesterhavstrøjen. And that's my first attempt at a scrappy knitting project with just 10 grams. What I did with the 10 grams, I just let them run out, and when I was done with the 10 grams on the skein knot, I tied these all with just regular knots, nothing special. So the knots are just lying on the inside of the sweater, just knitting along. And here I have a knot right there. I wasn't worried about making, I didn't want that line down the sweater, and I also wanted to use all the 10 grams. So I just knitted them out and made a knot, and so on and so forth. I don't know. I hope you know what I mean. I did that on the body. On the arms it was a little different because I wanted to control it more, and I had made these 2 times 5 grams, as I said, but I didn't use all the 5 grams actually, because I could see if I used 5 grams I would get sort of white blocks of each color before I could get to the next color, and I wouldn't use as many colors, and it would just look a little off compared to the body. So I tried making the stripes as wide as the ones on the body are. Yeah. So that's, and it's been admired a lot, this sweater, for the last 5 years. And also the yarn is completely different kinds of yarn. It's wool, there's also acrylic in it. I do also knit in plastic yarn, but it's always pre-owned. I never buy anything from new, because recycling is also a big thing. I think we have to be doing also in our knitting life. But these are all different kinds of yarn. That was the thing I wanted to say. I did promise you not to talk a lot about plastic and yarn, so I will try to keep it down. I have to get a little sip of water. I hope I don't speak too fast. I hope it's going okay. I have to just look at the camera. Okay, 22 minutes. Oh my god. Halfway there. I'm not really halfway there in my little program, but I'll see what I can do. It can go two ways from here in this little episode. I did want to show you, I'm currently just starting up actually three new methods. Not new. Okay, over. I am actually currently working on making 3 new sweaters, Vesterhavstrøjen, with 3 methods. One of them is the 1+1, and I'm going through it on my workshop channel very meticulously. And I just made a video yesterday showing that I have my small cakes, because I just want to show you very quickly. This is how I do it now. I don't make these, it takes too long. What I do now, also to help myself finding out which colors I want to use, I have all the scraps, I pick some colors out I want to use, and I make these 10 grams scraps. Also, if I know there's more than 10 grams in a scrappy bundle, or whatever you want to call it, skein, leftover skein you have lying around, I do always make these little cakes, 10 grams each, because the thing is, you can use them much better to get a feel of what they are compared to all the other colors, and in what order to put them, and they all have this it's the same amount, so they have the same volume as they will have in the sweater. And that can be difficult if you look into your scrappy pile, and some are more bulky than others, and maybe there are 75 grams of something and 17 of something else, and your brain just won't allow you to see it as equals. The thing is, when you make these, it's very much easier to see what you'll actually get in your knitting project. So I do I will recommend you to make these. If you want to use this any method, you can use 20 grams, but make them just like a conform picture. I have divided these, as you can see, into 2 times 5 grams, because those are my sleeves. So this is ready for this, and I have chosen a light gray base for the main color, or the base color, and I will recommend, if you're new to it, that you use a light yarn, not light weight, but bright white or gray color, because it calms the scraps down, but it also doesn't interfere with any of the other colors. I do have another project here. It's also 10 grams, and you can use, see I have used a blue base color, and this is something a little bit different. This is well, stockinette, and oh, I have to hide my face so it don't focus on me. And you can see, well, this is actually the inside, because I felt like I would get a more mild, they would more fade into each other, the colors, if I used the other side as my right side or front, or I don't know. But this is a blue, and I do use colored bases, but only if I know that it will go well with all the other colors. And you can see in this type of project, I haven't used that many different colors, and I've sort of kept myself in one scale from green to blue. These are a bit more different colors, blue, gray, brown, orange, yellow, bit more contrasting than this. The more the contrast in the scraps, the more use you have for a neutral base color. So this is also an opportunity, a way of doing it. And I'll show you a bit more of the things I've done, and if I have time, I will show you what I'm currently also working on with the scraps in 10 grams and a new method I'm testing. So this is also one of my own designs, Antarktistrøjen, an Arctic sweater. I made it for my mom when she was going to the Antarctic on a trip, and I made it with scraps also. This gauge is, I think, 15 per 10 centimeters, 15 stitches. I think this one was 18, so this is a bit thicker. And I have a base yarn also in this, and it's a light one. And all the scraps are fingering weight yarns, light fingering weight yarns, all sorts of different things, 10 grams each also. And I made these sleeves alike, and I made them match the body. They are not completely the same, but I made them match. The thing is, I also found out pretty quickly that I like to knit with a system. I have to make a system, I have to follow the system to make it look easy on the eyes, not messy. So find yourself a system and follow it. Here you can see when I changed colors, I made this 1+1 kind of thing, and then the next color 1 by 1, next color 1 by 1, next color. So that's my method in this one, the marling technique, or whatever you want to call it. And this is also an opportunity for your 10 grams, and you can use, I do have, I think 18 or 19 different colors in this one. I do have also around 20 colors in this one. So it's an opportunity for you to use some of those scraps. I want to show you another one, Garden Party. This is also my own design. It's a skirt. A lot of people think it's a poncho. It's not, it's a skirt. And this is also, it's like this actually, but your base color makes the frame from the bottom and at the top. And I just didn't make 1+1, but I made it a bit, well, different. First color coming up, this is actually a skein like this, very similar to this one, and just knit the 10 grams And first I have 1 plus 1, then 2 plus 2, then 3 plus 3, and right about here I thought, well, let's not overdo it. And I started going the other way, but letting the scraps fylde lidt mere, use up a bit more space. So there are more rows with the scraps than with the base color at the top. Yep. So also one way of doing it, and that is exactly just one skein of this, and then the base color fills out the rest. And one more. Let me see what time it is. 32. Well, I'll do it. I'll do it. Some of you might recognize this, as it's a wonderful design of Pia. Snowflower vest, and I love this vest. I had already knitted it in one of my yarns in my shop, Loch Lomond, and it's a wonderful tweed woolen spun yarn, and I just love wearing it. And one of the main tips I have for knitting with scraps is, if you're new in knitting with scraps, knit something you've knitted before and that you love. It takes away the stress of thinking about the pattern when you knit, and you don't think about, you've already been through the whole thing, so you know what happens next. You know where it doesn't really matter if the gauge is not quite right, or it doesn't matter if it gets a little bigger, a little smaller, and it suits you. And that's why I always say, if you're new, knit something you've knitted before, and just make it with scraps, because it makes you more free to play with methods and all the colors, and just have fun with it. This one I made in also 10 grams. These are 10 grams each down here. But I didn't only use a base yarn. As you can see, I have made it 1 plus 1. You can see it on the inside here. I built it from this one. Yeah. Oh my, what's it called? Oh my experiences from knitting this one I built on when I knitted this one. I knit, not knitted. So you can see I have one, not row, but 2 rows, back and forth with the base color, back and forth with the scrap yarn. But that was not all, because my scrap yarns were too thin. They were fingering weight, and I had to make them a lot thicker to match the base yarn. The base yarn can only do so much as to keep your gauge correctly when you use this much scraps, these in between. So I wanted to put in a lace weight yarn together with the scraps, and I chose a lace weight yarn that was almost exactly the same color as my base yarn. Same thing I thought about here. I always build on the experiences and what I know to work. I build on that in the next method I'm trying out. So this was the lace weight yarn I put in here was the same color as my main color, so I did the same thing here, only it was dark blue. That was also kind of a test as to see how does that work. And as you can see, this is the right side it does make it all fade a lot more together. And just, you do have that kind of block knitting, because they are all just running down. Well, I get mesmerized just looking at it. Sorry. Being quiet on a podcast is not always a good idea. I do it sometimes. But here you go. The Snowflower vest with a 10 grams of scraps, a base color, and a lace weight following yarn, I don't know, 2 strands together, the scraps and the lace weight yarn. And the lace weight yarn is the same color as the base yarn. And I also did the thing with the framing, and I put the base yarn in the ribbing and in the edges. Yep. So now I do have about 7 or 8 minutes to talk to you about what I'm currently... Oh my god, I forgot something. One sec. In Denmark, I don't know if any of the other podcasters have said this, but we do have this. There's a podcaster, she podcasts in Danish, Strik og Sludder. Henriette is her name, and she invented a word that many of us Danish podcasters use, which is Podderwear. And that's the wear we sit in when we podcast. So my Podderwear today is also a 10 grams of scraps knit. A colorwork knit, which is also fabulous for your 10 grams. And also, again, I would like to recommend you find those scraps. This is just, it was actually like this. I didn't make the skein, but I did take 10 times 10 grams. I made the little cakes, and I made the specific order I wanted to knit them in to make the color work. And I made, I do also, like I said, I do make systems, and I use a lot of math when I knit with my scraps to make it all fit. And this, I figured out, I have to make 6 rows each, and that will be enough, because a whole other thing is that you're also often worried, do I have enough for this project? And making these, or weighing your yarn and putting them side by side, 10 grams each, makes you more confident that, okay, I do have enough. You look at how much yardage, meterage you have to use in a project, and you know, sort of, for most of your yarns, you do know how much yarn you have, how much meterage you have in each scrap yarn, and if not, make it your best guess and always just take a little more. It doesn't have to be a whole lot more when you do it like that with the 10 grams laying, because you can actually be pretty sure that you do have enough. If you do have not enough meters, then you're good to go. And this one I wanted to also fill in with an equal amount of color, each color. Yeah, and then I made it the 6 rows up here, and then next color, 6 rows, next color. And these I've made with each their color. And down here you also have a little border of color work, and I made those with only 3 rounds, and then next color, 3 rounds and next color, because I wanted to use more colors than I would have otherwise if I continued with the 6 rounds. So all these things I think about beforehand, and when I start knitting I often do something a little different every time, but the thing is, if you do have the plan and you just start, then you can always change it while knitting, and the answer will come to you when you're knitting it. Because if you do knit and you think, oh, this isn't right, then you'll change it, and then that will be right. You can't always think everything in advance, especially not with scrappy knitting, and that's also a thing I usually say. You do, I can just put up a picture here. This is my plan. So I make a plan. This is, well, the middle one is the body, and then the arms. That's the plan. But when I'm knitting, I might find out, oh, this color shouldn't be here. I rather change it into something else, or make another rækkefølge. I just found that word and I forgot it again already, sorry, but just change it when you're knitting it. That will be so much easier. The good thing is just to start and have a plan, and then you can always change it while knitting, and it's so much easier. So don't overthink it before starting. And now I do have 5 minutes. Okay. Right now I'm working on a new method, and I'm not quite sure what to call it yet, especially not in English. I had a silly try go at it in Danish, but I don't know how to translate. So I'll come up with something, and also I have yarn put aside for something similar to this method for that one also. Yep, these are also 10 grams. Here they are. I love putting it in these little boxes, cardboard boxes. They are fantastic for framing your, again with the framing, but you get sort of a better image of what it looks like together. I just love it, and it's easy to take this to your couch. And I'm not just, as you can probably tell by now, I don't do that where you close your eyes and just take the next color. No way, Jose. I have to be the one to decide. Yes. So this one is not my design. It's a Danish designer. Oh my God, Lene Holme Samsø is her name. Linette. You can find her everywhere. So this is a color work like this, but in this one I had the main color in the background and the color work were the scraps. In this one I wanted to try full-on color work, both for arms and body and everywhere, and I wanted to have the color work done in a regular yarn, just from fabric new, what's it called? So I found a color for the color work and scraps that were in the pinkish area. As you can see, there are actually, what a mess in this. There are quite many different colors, and I tied the scraps together with a lace weight. This is brushed alpaca. All these, of course, all these are these you can buy on my web shop. I'm one big commercial for my own little web shop. That's just the way it is. So this is a brushed alpaca, which is very good as your lace weight yarn if you want to sort of make the scraps mingle better or fade into each other, because it has that little fluffy hairy thing going on. And the thing I did this with this is a little crazy, because I have only one round with each color, and then I change to the next, and these are actually lying in order, and I use the same order all the time, just following along like this. You can see I'm knitting with this one, and the next one I put my little scissor here in the next one I'm supposed to knit, and I just follow the same, and from here I jump up here, and then again one round each color. These started out as 10 grams scraps, all of them, and I figured out, I made the calculations, and I have to use this many meters in my project, and so I have to have, if you have a fingering weight, you have approximately 40 meters in 10 grams of cake. So the 40 meters, you can sort of count on those and use them to figure out how much you have to use. And I have 22 different colors here, and they all, you can see it up here, that I don't change the color exactly the same place, but in the same area. You can see it here underneath the arm. All the little knots. Please don't ask me what knots I use. I can always show you in another episode if you want. It's just normal knots. I don't do a lot of hocus pocus on those. It's fine as long as it's mostly wool you use, and when you have this one, it also ties the whole thing beautifully together. So I have to start finishing up this podcast, and I will do it by saying how absolutely gorgeous I think this is. This is, I get a lot of questions. I showed this on Instagram, and several people texted me and asked me, did you dye that color your own, or where did you get that from? And it is scraps, ladies and gentlemen. You can, these are also very different kinds of, there are wool, there are superwashed, non-superwashed, there are cotton, there are linen and silk, and it doesn't really matter. As long as they are approximately same length or weight, I guess you say weight more than length. Lace weight, light lace, no, not lace, fingering weight, light fingering weight. Same thickness of the yarn, and then you put on this brushed alpaca and you're good to go. Yeah, I think this is so beautiful, and I wanted to use it for Vesterhavstrøjen also without the pattern, without the color work. In Danish, pattern is the same word we use. Mønster is the same word we use for color work. Yeah. Anyway, I think I did manage to cram the most of it. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's it. I don't have time to say anything else. I always tend to speak a lot, as I said. I hope you did get inspired by this. Maybe start making little cakes, 10 grams with your scraps, and enjoy them. I know for many of us, me included, it's difficult to, if you do have like 50 grams lying around, then you want to knit that whole in one thing, one project. You don't want to take some of it out, because what are you left with? What are you going to use that for? I recommend that you put those thoughts and feelings aside and just think, well, now I'm using 10 grams of this. I can always figure out what to do with the rest. Now I try to knit with this, just 10 grams, and that means I have actually used some of these scraps. They're not just lying around waiting for something to fit them, because it just doesn't come around very often that it just magically fits our scraps. So you have to make them fit. And one thing you can do is make your 10 grams of scraps and make them fit beautifully together. Also, if you think, well, they are very different. They are different colors, different weights, different kinds of yarn. You can use them together and make a quite beautiful project that you want to use. Not just use when you go to the carnival. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope I've passed the test in English. I will hopefully be podcasting in English also in the future as a supplement. I'm not gonna stop podcasting in Danish, but once in a while I will podcast in English as well. And maybe if I sense that it will be worth it, I will also start making workshops in English. So that was it for me. Thank you very much. I hope you do enjoy the rest of the knitathon. Tomorrow I will be here again in Danish at 1 o'clock in Denmark, and I'll try and be there also in the chat. So, happy knitting everyone, and thank you again to Pia for hosting this wonderful event. Bye.